Mikee P back on the In the Money Players podcast, Assiniboia edition, and our weekly Assiniboia show. We're going to look at Tuesday late pick for this week, July the 15th. And I had to go across the border to resident Canadian Garnet Barnsdale, who is typically known as a harness guy, but spends a fair amount of time at Woodbine racetrack for thoroughbreds, and I know he's a fantastic handicapper. Had him on the show last year doing some Assiniboia. So, GB, welcome back.
Always happy to be here. And yeah, I mean, I'm at Woodbine every Saturday playing, 4 or 5 tracks, and sometimes Assiniboia at night in my living room. So happy to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you. And, I know that you kind of changed roles this past year with you took over the Horseplayer Journal at Woodbine Mohawk. So, that's a little bit different. I know you were doing analysis for DRF for Woodbine, so not that much of a difference. But talk about your new role there.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit more work because with DRF you didn't really have any space limitations, but with the journal and the program, there's a box that's half a page in a program, and you kind of got to fit it in there, right? You can't. So you kind of got to. It's a little bit different because you kind of got to write a little bit of a story about each horse. So. It makes it more interesting, and you got to do a little bit more research, maybe watch a few more replays. But so far, so good. I'm enjoying it, and happy to be doing it.
And of course, you still do your work for Ontario Racing, so we see you frequently on Horseplayer Twitter, giving out picks and selections. But like you mentioned, doing a lot of thoroughbred work. Also, I'm going to put you to work on Assiniboia for Tuesday, and we're going to look late pick 4. And I'm sure that you've noticed that the handle numbers at Assiniboia GB with I think last week they topped over 2 million on Tuesday night, which is incredible for their signal. And the late pick 4 pools, I know they guarantee at 50,000, but the pools are massive. I mean, they're well over 100,000 almost weekly now.
That's incredible. Yeah, it's really good. And I think we wouldn't have any data on it, I don't think, but I think your promotion of it here has to help.
Yeah, and I'd like to think so, and they're going to continue to have us do it. So we're going to keep giving the coverage, and we've got a lot of nice winners. And sometimes it's tough to connect on these sequences, but we try to give you ideas, give you prices, and use what we talk about, fade, whatever you think. But try to build those tickets in that dollar pick 4 there with the low takeout at Assiniboia. We're going to start on race number 4 on Tuesday nights here. And this is 9:50 Eastern time. Remember, the first race is 8:30. Pick 4 starts 9:50 Eastern. 3 lifers, GB, 7.5 furlongs. That's a 2-turn race at Assiniboia. 10 claimers there. I thought pretty tough race to kick off the pick 4.
Yeah, first of all, I'm going to take a big stand and completely toss this even money favorite, Lieutenant Norm, mostly because he shows 4 races since April at the non-winners of 3 level, and he has 4 narrow defeats. So I don't know if this horse is snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, but that tells me he's beatable. So I'm going 4 deep. I'm going to start out with the 2 claimed horses. Number 2, Lucky Appeal, claimed out of a decent effort. I like that he gets one of the leading riders, Baudry. And then if you go right to the 3, you get the other leading rider, Whitehall, who's got 21 wins also, with Smack Over Lime, 10-1 in the morning line, who was claimed out of a race where he finished second, just ahead of Lucky Appeal. So, maybe off the claim and with these top riders, one of these horses could potentially move up and get the job done. Then I'm going to go out to the 6 hole for Big Walk. I think Big Walk, I like horses that race kind of evenly there in that sprint, and now you're getting into the 2-turn race. The race before was, a good winner at long shot odds against the non-winners of 2. And then I'm going to go 4 deep. I'm going to use number 7, Luca Grassi, who should like the 7.5 furlong distance, I would think, the way that he won that non-winners of 2 $10,000 claimer very powerfully. So my big stand on this whole ticket really is against Lieutenant Norm in this race.
Yeah, I understand going against the 4 here. And if you watch Luca Grassi, that was just last week there, July the 9th. And this horse shipped up from Turf Paradise and ended up, in a dirt race, really no dirt form for this one. Well, if you watch that replay, and it's a 10-pound bug riding this horse galloped in that race. Really never looked a loser, came flying through the stretch, coming 3 to their 1. And now has to step up a condition, but I'm encouraged by the fact that This horse was able to take to the dirt so well, especially this racetrack. And I do think that this horse can improve off that line. Now you get the bug. That was her third win, actually her fifth win. So she drops down to the 5-pound bug now. But, she's shown the ability to ride. She has 5 wins in 40 starts so far. And they're right back in here. I do think that she rates a big chance with this horse in this race. I'll use Big Walk also, though, the 6. And that horse is 4-1 morning line. This horse raced very well there on June the 17th. And, this Jerry Garnet barn, I mean, I'm not sure if you remember him for the years and years at Assiniboia. He was a leading trainer for several years. Now he had the suspension, went to Texas. Now he's back. He's been back for a couple weeks here, but his horses are firing big shots. It's hard to leave him off tickets. And this horse got that win 2 back last time, which is too far back. Really, you're not going to win from that far back at this racetrack. I'm encouraged that they're back in here. You get a better post. Maybe this horse should be better versus these horses. And you mentioned Lieutenant Norm. Well, he's probably 3 to 5 in here. Shown a lot of, races where he just finds a way to be second and third. He has 13 lifetime shares. So this is a horse that I think, with a 1 for 25 jockey on the year that you got to try to take a chance against, like you mentioned.
Right.
Jump to race 5, and it's a stake race, $50,000 race. It's the Canada Stakes. And we got an 8-horse field here, GB, 7.5 furlongs. Where'd you go?
I think it's hard for me to separate the 1 and the 7. They look like clearly the best mares in this race. Finished 1-2 last time. I guess you could potentially take a stand and take the one that won, but I think if you use the 1 and 7 in here, Burrow Down and Sophia Storm, I think you're going to get past this race, and that's, to me, it just looks that simple on paper in this race. I don't know if you feel any different, but.
I agree with those 2 horses. I mean, they were 1-2 last time in a 50,000 stake here on June 25th. And I think I agree. Both of them are uses in here, but I do think you can use a couple other horses. The 2 Marvelous Lady just raced very well and galloped in an open condition race back on June the 23rd. I mean, that was a blowout win at 1-9. Now steps up, gets protected here. I do think is interesting off that line and maybe is improving. I think the 7.5 furlong distance suits this horse. So 2 races at the track, a win and a 3rd place finish. I like the fact that they're showing up in this spot. I think that one fits versus these horses, and you get a far better price. And then I would also think about using the 8 here, Baby Gundon. Now, this horse is 12-1 morning line. Again, Jerry Garnet barn. Ships up from Lone Star. And if you look, this horse was claimed for $7,000 back on June the 6th, but stepped into an optional 25 on the grass at Lone Star. Well, improved the figure greatly there. Ended up with a 78 buyer. Well, that intrigues me, especially because if this horse is going to improve that much off the claim and then shows up here, this horse has Oaklawn lines. He's a little bit cheap with his early claimers, but I like that step up last time. This horse improved. I think that there's a lot of positive signs here that Garnet shows up and goes straight into a stakes race here. So I don't know that I'd leave that horse off your ticket. He's 12-1 morning line and a horse that I definitely want to keep on side here in this pick 4.
You know what? You convinced me. I'm going to add that horse to my ticket. So you can, yeah. I didn't really look that closely, honestly, when I saw the $7,000 claim, but yeah, that was a really good race that she ran off the claim. So yeah, I think you're onto something there.
Go to race 6 and a little bit different level of horse here. State bred maiden claimers, and we got these Manitoba breds, Garnet. And I thought that the 5 was going to be a tough horse to beat in this race. The 5's Little Eddie, 3-1 morning line, and a couple maiden special weights to start the career. Then tried a stake race last time and got a check in that race. Now, did finish last, but ended up making up a little bit of ground in the stretch. Now you drop to 10 claimers here. A lot of these horses, the form is not very good. There's horses that have a couple just one lifetime start and finish last. It's not a good race. This horse at least showed some speed first time out if you look back to that June 4th line. So if this horse shows speed again, I think that should control this race. What say you?
Well, I used him, but I'm going 4 deep because I got a single in the last leg. I also used Just Speculating on the class drop. Second start, brushed gate at the break, and then stalked a duel, and I thought raced okay. The 2 Hibernation showed speed. I mean, I don't love this horse, especially since he got a 49.5 in his opening race and still got beat. But the class drop makes me use him. And so the fourth one I'm using is Gray Havens, only because he's a second-time starter with blinkers on, and that's just one of the angles that I like to play. And if this horse gets it done, the thing will pay huge.
Yeah, interesting on the 2 hibernation. I think you could probably use that horse also in here, but pretty well named. This horse is out of Kentucky Bear by a dam named Pillowbook, and they named Hibernation. So I just like the name with the breeding on that horse. That's another one that showed speed early, and I think one that I would certainly add to tickets. But it's a tough race, and you have a lot of really non-form horses. So we'll see who wakes up to win race 6 on Tuesday. Let's go to last. It's race at number 7, and this is a nice allowance race here. It's basically a 2x allowance race. They're going 6 furlongs. Garnet, you said you have a single here. How are we going to get paid?
Yeah, I think, when I look fairly closely, to me, it comes down to the 3 or the 7. I'm going to single Lansdowne kind of on an angle, a Tom Ainsley angle, if anybody remembers who he is from the 60s. But his last win was what Ainsley would consider a big win. He pressed the pace and drove away. And what I like most is that Lansdowne ran a 23 flat second quarter to get into contention, and then easily pulled away. So I just like the way he's been running. I think he'll get a good stocking trip here. I think up striker, the one he has to beat. It's interesting that they both lost to a horse named Judo. Recent starts, almost by the exact same margin. One lost by a length, one lost by a length and a half. But I really like the way he's coming into this race off his last start. So Lansdowne is the one I'm singling here.
Yeah, Judah's a nice horse. And he came out of that race to win a really a tough race here. It was a stakes race on June the 24th with a pretty much one of the better fields at Assiniboia so far this season. So Lansdowne definitely a player. I'm interested in the 4 here in Northvale Road. Also, this is another Jerry Gourneau here who pressed pace last time versus these. And, Lansdowne got a perfect trip in that race, whereas Northvale Road was pressured pretty much the whole way around. Edited. So, well, Garnet, the late pick for Assiniboia on Tuesday. Give us your ticket.
Yeah, I love that it's a $1 minimum, by the way. So mine's 2367 with 17 with 1257 with 3 Lansdowne singled, $32 for $1. I'm going to keep that piece of paper right there. I'm going to play that ticket.
Very approachable sequence per usual on Tuesday night at Assiniboia. Expect big pools, and hopefully we can give you a couple ideas here to play this late pick for. We're going to be here every week, so jump in on Assiniboia Downs. Garnet, thanks for joining me as usual, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Anytime, Mike.
This has been a production of In the Money Media. Jump in on Assiniboia. We'll see you guys next week.